or what I like to call rhythm, time, space. So in the same order as language and music are languages or like languages, along with that too, chicken before the egg was it language, was it music first, but also in that is movement, because then that's another possibility, okay, of a language, not necessarily a language that just follows its own single course, a single line, but language as a conglomerate or as a harmonic relationship in rhythm, time, space, meaning movement, sound, language, syntax. When I say language, meaning and the order of things. And then again, with movement and with rhythm in particular, you have a syntax that's kind of somewhere else. It's more gyroscopic. So instead of there just being one centrality and one line and one binary for what we know, what we hear, how we understand things, with rhythm, time, space, which is movement also, you have a harmonic sense of what time, space is or can be. I call it Riddimic Harmony, okay? Now, Riddimic Harmony is kind of based on an idea from the olden days of African American culture, when they had a thing called the juba. And what's interesting about this juba is that you have this gyroscopic time actually happening. They also have vocals that went along with it. But it's curious because it involves sound and it involves movement, but it's not like one ahead of the other. Typically, when we have stage platforms, proscenium, modern music, recorded music, there's the vocality which takes priority. And African-based music is not always that way. There are other things that take priority. Sometimes the horn is less than the drums. In fact, in certain kinds of music, like fife and drum, or the shout, ring shout, the horn or the voice is always recessed with percussion. And sometimes movement is recessed with percussion, or movement guides percussion, or percussion guides movement, or vocals and percussion and movement guide everything. So here we go with this gyroscopic sense of what time is, this different vocality and time, movement, and space, which I call again rhythm, time, space. This thing called the juba. What was the juba? Very interesting hand play. Went like this. I'm from Sea Island, Georgia, Sapelo Island, Darren, Georgia, Gullah-Geechee culture. We don't have time to go into all of it, but it's the earliest African culture in the United States, older than any place else. Here. So it goes thigh, hand, thigh, thigh, hand, thigh, thigh, hand, thigh, thigh, hand, thigh. So automatically you're into a movement thing that isn't incidental to the sound. Okay? So you got... So moving that way isn't that I'm moving this way and I'm trying to get a certain sound, a certain pure sound. I'm moving that way because that's what it is. That's what the sound is, and that's what the feeling is, and what the vocabulary is in the rhythm, time, space, and movement, time, space. What's curious about that particular move is that, again, in the gyroscopic sense, it has different metric things going on with it, okay? So you got da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but at the same time you got... So that's the basic of juba. So you got so there's never really this resolve, okay, of syncopation. There's never this resolve in time space. So you've kind of broken out of the sense of linearity and binary time space, meaning this, off and on. So if we play a regular pulse kind of groove, cadence that it has. It's on, off, up, down, and very black and white in that sense. In our minds, like if you take a circle, black side, white side, spin it, it turns gray. Of course, we know it never turns gray. But there's a certain vocabulary that our mind deals with, a certain syntax that changes stuff to fit into a cognitive understanding of things when there's another larger vocabulary that exists. It's bigger than language in syntax sense, and bigger than melody in syntax sense too. There's another kind of harmonic. I bring you all this way to say this. To understand that, or to feel that, and understand that about rhythm and how all these sensibilities go together, you have to understand how syncopation works. Now, in regular, downbeat, offbeat, downbeat, offbeat, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. There's a certain vocabulary to get set up. Could you clap that with me? Just clap. 1, 2, just that. Just that. So that's on, off. What we call all these offs. Now, in this sense, when you make it kind of more gyroscopic, it's like, let's say we have 4 pieces of wire. So all a foot long. So you got wire, 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 wire. Now, if we fluidize the wire, we can heat it and change its state. Now we start changing what the wire is. Still the same wire, but we fluidized the wire. Now we created a whole different vocabulary in time, space, using rhythm the way someone might use melody. So it's another thing that exists, okay? Where do I want to go there? Speed up! That was really nice, everyone. Keep feeling. So, with that kind of idea, it's like gyroscopic rhythm, or gyroscopic time, or rhythm time space. Typically, we use rhythm to frame pulse. So when I'm playing those straight beats, I'm using rhythm to frame pulse. There's a way to use pulse to frame rhythm. So it kind of changes everything. It's like having, in Einstein's world, in physics, a mass that's in space and actually warps that space the greater the mass. So the greater the mass of the rhythm, and that has to do with spirituality, intensity, everything, it warps the space around it. So now you have pulse, framing rhythm. In jazz, typically, we use rhythm. I'm sorry, give me 1 second here. We use the rhythm to frame the pulse. I'm having technical difficulties. 1 moment, please. So, we have this rhythm in jazz, of course. Now let's say if we warp that, like, have you heard of fractals before? Like things that change by scale and dimension from small to large, and they keep going into forever, forever smaller or forever bigger, right? So if you take a thing and you in a warped space, and I take the rhythm or the shape, ting, taka, ting, and I go. Crazy stuff and going at different times and meters, or spinning a bit at a time, bigger and smaller. But actually, it's like a. Actually, I'm doing the same beat, like with the syncopation exercise. Nothing really changes. We just kind of fluidize what's in the container. Okay, instead of playing what's in the container to find the shape of the container all the time, like ice. To define time, space, and to set boundaries for it, we make it boundless. Okay? something different. That is this. When I'm playing this rhythm, ha ha hey hey ha hey ha 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 ha, I'm keeping a separate line here with the vocality, and a completely different free thing happening with my hands and body. Completely free. Therefore, I'm in this gyroscopic space, which is a different dimension, a different time space, a whole other way to deal with rhythm, using the whole of the harmony of it as the vocabulary. So, if you were to take shuffle in 5, and a shuffle in 4 at the same time. So metrically, I'm in different time spaces, a different rhythm time space. One time space is actually faster, one is slower, and one is like in the middle. So in a way, in a sense, I'm in 3 different time places at the same time. So when I'm in the past of going